Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second edition of Throwback Madness. Every month we choose a pay-per-view based on that month from the past. We rotate whose turn it is. This week it is Ek2 Fly, Eric Trembicki's. He chose... What did you choose?
Money in the Bank from 2011.
2011 Money in the Bank. Is there a reason why you chose this one?
Well...
Is it because you thought this would be Aaron's favorite one to review, or...?
Not at all. Don't worry about him.
It's not 2000.
No, I guess a couple different reasons. One, being the theme, we have Money in the Bank coming up. Made sense. I don't even know if it's the right month.
It's not.
Speaking of which, we forgot to put the briefcase up.
However, it is the same vein.
It's not, but I'll let you slide.
Same vein.
I think it's a good one. The main event, I believe to be the best match of the past 5-6 years. My opinion.
Yeah?
The best match.
The walk-off?
Oh, yeah, I'm just going to go with that. I mean, in-ring performance, top to bottom, commentary, story play, best match. Kind of a little spoiler early, but that's a big reason why I'm picking this as our Throwback Madness. So,
all right, so Ek2 Fly, Eric. Well, I guess I shouldn't. We got Alo, Aaron Lloyd once again, C. Kane, Joe Rottermill. Eric, take it away.
All right, so the match opened. Show opened.
You're new to this, aren't you?
The match open with the show.
You gonna mumble the whole way through it?
Yep.
All right.
I'll yell at you too when you're wrong.
Opening match was
lot of heat early.
The SmackDown Money in the Bank ladder match.
Whoa.
Who won? Alo, I know you got notes on it. Who won?
Daniel Bryan.
Were you excited with this match? You love it?
Is this how you're starting the show? You didn't even name who's in the match.
It's Daniel Bryan pre-GOAT.
Nah, match didn't
The
do much for me.
So I will preface, I was not watching at the time. I thought I should maybe watch a Raw or two ahead of time. I ran out of time to do it, so I was watching with literally no idea what built to anything.
This is about the time I was selling you on Daniel Bryan.
Yes, it was, and I started watching not too long after that. But I had no clue what was going on. I knew who most of these guys were because most of them are still around or have been. But I was actually getting excited at the prospect of Dan. I had no idea he won. I was excited that Daniel Bryan won. So it was fun for me to watch an old match and not have any clue what the outcome was.
I was not sold on Daniel Bryan at all at the time, as you know.
Because they were selling him as a nerd.
Well, not just that. I mean, he was a babyface going into this match.
Yeah.
Alo, correct?
Correct.
Babyface.
So he was a babyface. It was one of those when they had two Money in the Banks. One babyface wins, a heel wins the other.
And you can see it watered down the rosters a little bit because you have people like Heath Slater competing for the Money in the
Heathy
Bank.
baby?
I had when his music played, I was like, "Who the hell is this?" This is pre-Heathy baby.
Yeah, pre-Heathy baby.
Well, yeah, I mean, they had everyone from what was it, the Core and Nexus at that time?
Well, the Core wasn't together at this time. They had broke up.
It was right out of the dissolution.
Yeah, one of my fellow family members, Ezekiel Jackson, was the Intercontinental Champion at the time.
Oh, he was, and he wasn't even on the show?
Yep.
Interesting.
That's how terrible his run was.
I enjoyed this match. I thought the two ladder matches in this almost proved why maybe ladder matches with all those guys are not the best idea.
Well, my thing when I went back and I was rewatching this, at the time when this show happened, aside from the two heavyweight titles, I thought this, at the time, the show didn't really catch my interest. I wasn't a fan of either person who won the Money in the Bank ladder matches. The Big Show Mark Henry match didn't do much for me, but I liked Mark Henry.
Too much for anyone.
Yeah. I mean, they did build Mark Henry up as a monster.
They had to put over that young star, Mark Henry.
Yeah. I was thinking that I missed Sexual Chocolate when I was watching this. One of my favorite characters of all time.
We're still in the first Raw, or we're on the Raw Money in the Bank because that was the one that opened it, correct?
SmackDown.
SmackDown? That's what I meant, SmackDown.
Yeah, SmackDown. So if you win the SmackDown, you can cash in for the heavyweight title. You win the Raw, you cash in for
SmackDown.
the WWE
That's what I meant, SmackDown. I said Raw. But I mean, the match was pretty good. There was a couple good spots, but there was a couple that were just too set up. When Sheamus sets up the ladders in an intricate way just to have himself use them later.
Yeah.
There was one, and you were reading my notes. You're talking ladder splitter. They put Sin Cara through a ladder, and he's like, "Oh, did you see that steel buckle?" And you look at the ladder; it's clearly chips of wood everywhere.
I did know. I was wondering what that was.
Yeah, it's wood. It's wood. That ladder didn't crumble. That ladder doesn't. Metal doesn't splinter.
Did anybody else find Michael Cole to be more annoying then than he is now?
That was in my notes. That's the last thing about my notes. Do you like a heel Cole?
No, it's even worse than this Michael Cole.
I want to remember what sticks out to me during this show. But there's something he said. It was just another thing where it's like that's not an accurate fact. Like he's trying to like state stats, and it wasn't.
They're just not true.
Well, that's every week. But the one thing I did like about heel Cole is when he would mark out for the Miz.
That I'll give you,
because he would lose it.
Yeah, it was like over the top. Loved the Miz, but the whole Daniel Bryan nerd thing. I don't know if that was a thing for a long time. That was really annoying.
It wasn't too long, no. I mean, they did play it up a little bit, but I mean, he pretty much.
What was it like from like when he won the U.S. title up until I think he cashed in?
Well, he ends up
until he turned heel, I believe.
He ends up cashing in, if I'm not mistaken, against Mark Henry.
Yeah, no, against Mark
Show.
Henry and Big Show. They had just finished that match.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
TLC, yeah.
That match.
Well, he pinned Big Show.
Yeah, Big Show had won the title.
Then he got clobbered at WrestleMania by Sheamus in like the quickest match ever.
Sheamus, who was still boring all the way back then.
Still boring.
Well, I got some notes here. Well, first of all, Daniel Bryan is not a goat face. He's handsome.
Yeah.
That was a clean cut.
Clean cut Daniel
Clean
Bryan.
cut nerd.
He almost had like a little bit of an Ek2 Fly look to him. Didn't look like you, but he had similar haircut, similar facial hair. You don't think?
No, I think my barber would be insulted right now.
Somewhere the barber's crying.
Well, I think he was trying to be like you, is what I'm saying.
Oh, that's believable.
Well, the original
My beard was longer than his at that time.
Yeah.
The original Sin Cara is way greater than Hunico. The current Sin Cara.
Oh yeah.
He was so smooth in this match. I was like, wow, that flatliner he did with D-Bro off the top rope was awesome. This match, though, it went way too long. You can tell when it started to drag. This match got 25 minutes, but the Raw got...
Was it that long?
Yeah.
Wow.
That got 25 minutes. I think the Raw match got 18 minutes. No, Raw match got 15 minutes.
Well, they try to plan so many spots. You could see them, setting up ladders.
Yeah, no, but you could tell during the match where it was just like starting to drag when they didn't know what to do. Because after a while, I was like, okay, this match should be over by now.
Well, the heavyweight title picture at that time, I always felt like they didn't know what they were doing.
Well, that's
why it made sense.
Well, that's when they started taking less emphasis on SmackDown because Edge left, and then I'll yell later about Orton and Christian. But that's when they started taking less emphasis off SmackDown. But what I did like about this match was nobody in this match was a former world champion. That's what I did like. Kane was in this. Kane was in this match.
So there were 100 guys in this
other than
match?
Kane. Everybody was never world champion.
So out of 100 guys in this match, at a time
Sheamus
when
was in this
everybody was
match.
a world champion.
Nobody
was before? Wow.
Kane and Sheamus.
So we got two of them.
Like, I mean,
I thought none were.
like I said, you could tell because of the roster split at the
Bad
time.
notes.
It was a little watered down when you have people like Gabriel in there. I know he was part of the core. You had Heath Slater in there. I mean, no one really cared.
All those core Nexus.
No
guys
one really cared for him.
They were prime.
I mean,
at the time.
Cody Rhodes, who is a good wrestler, but at this time he's still playing up that plastic mask like he has to wear it because he's
It was awesome.
horribly disfigured.
Cody Rhodes was awesome.
Yeah,
Cody
so
Rhodes is good, but I hated that angle with the plastic mask that he had to
but
wear.
still, he took that gimmick and made everything. He put everything he added to that gimmick. He got it
better
over
than
too.
that, though.
I know he's better than that, but anything you gave him, he put everything into it.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of Gabriel, that was my favorite spot of the match. Was the 450 off the ladder, sitting on top of the corner.
You didn't like the Sin Cara flatliner from the top?
It was great, but that I just thought was really good.
I did think he wasn't used to his full potential while he was with the company.
Yeah, so
definitely
litany of guys that fell into that.
True. All right, well, we'll skip that. SmackDown, Money in the Bank ladder match ends, and then it goes into the Divas title match.
Can we skip that?
Time out.
I'm fine with
That's
that.
just one thing I
Time
want
out.
to say
Time
about
out.
this.
Time
I have
out.
one
Time
note.
out. Eric, if you're gonna host this segment for today, you have to say this right. It is now time for the Divas Championship match.
No, I don't do that. I'm not a fool.
You don't do the Brie Bella promo like me?
No.
You are a horrible host.
My one note
I think
from
you're doing
this.
well.
Actually, no, I had two
okay.
notes from this show. Or from this match.
He watches Total Divas. That's why he's into Brie Bella. He's a Daniel Bryan mark, and he watches Total Divas. So Kelly is more of a reason to watch this match. She was better on the eyes.
She was easy on the eyes.
They actually look like twins.
Actually,
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. For some reason, they looked a lot more alike. It was harder to tell them.
She was a
apart.
little lighter.
Yeah.
Did you know who Kelly was?
I did, yeah.
I actually loved her manager, if you will. The one that
Eve Torres.
Oh,
yeah. She came down with Kelly.
But this was pre-Cena for Nikki. I think she was still technically wrestling with Dolph Ziggler at the time.
This is pre-fun bags for Nikki as well.
That
Do you think he was wearing the headgear?
Yeah. And the mouthpiece.
Was this the highlight of the show for you?
No. The Divas Revolution. They would just turn around. Is Ron okay?
Then he asked if that was the highlight of the show for him. As I was taking a drink.
If we went off just off looks, yeah. But this was pre Divas Revolution. You could tell this match was horrible.
Very slow moving.
Right
Well,
off.
since we're getting into good matches.
Right off the bat, a horrible head scissor takedown. It was.
Yeah. Oh, wasn't there a bad Hurricanrana in there?
Yeah,
too?
that's
what you're talking
she
about.
did a Hurricanrana, and I couldn't tell if she was doing the Hurricanrana or
she was
that
getting-
she did.
Yeah,
I
there
was
was
like,
no way to know.
And then this feud was basically about the Bella saying Kelly Clay was too skinny.
yeah,
I'm
she doesn't eat.
I'm like, Bree, have you looked in the mirror?
Yeah.
It's like, Brie, look at her. She doesn't even eat. How'd you lose?
Well, speaking of skinny people, we'll get into the next match. Big Show versus Mark Henry.
Yeah, skinny people.
Yes.
Two
Two-
up and coming,
The
Yeah,
up and coming
shouting
Mark
from the
Henry.
striving for the world champion.
That young upstart Mark Henry.
Well, when you knew from the start, from the get-go, right when they came out, you were going to see a high-flying, daring, spot-taking kind of match between these two guys.
It was going to be a real spot fest.
It's gonna be a
I think the whole highlight going back,
Von
going back to that feud, I still think the whole cage spot from the SmackDown a couple weeks before. I think that was the most enjoyable spot.
Well, this
even,
was
even though it didn't happen on the show, that was something I can watch.
well, this was like I said, this was the low point for SmackDown. This is when it got terrible. But Mark Henry, he put that show on his back from that summer.
Pretty big back.
onto TLC. He put that whole show on his back. He was literally the world's strongest man because he carried SmackDown.
Just when he introduced the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he was awesome. They actually booked him perfectly, and I agree, he deserved everything he got during this
He
time.
deserved a little more. I mean, he probably should have went and got that WWE title when he had that shot against Cena years later.
They were so pissed he lost. I was there. They were so pissed he lost that match.
One caveat to the match, though. Mark Henry was throwing Big Show around like he's a 125-pound guy, body presses and things like that, which is kind of impressive.
Yeah.
The one thing I liked about it is, sorry to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
Typically whether
He
Mark
doesn't need to
Henry wins or loses, he typically needs help getting carried back to the. I know the age, but
Yeah.
I like the fact he won and then he marched his way out.
Yeah. He had 2 world's strongest slams.
There was
And
actually
2 splashes?
he was
and
actually
two splashes.
he was actually working a limb in this match.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, I never thought these big guys were working a limb.
It's very technical.
It was good to see Eric was the referee for this match, Little Nate, and during this match I saw something.
That's the best note you could come up with.
No, it's not. It's not. During this match, I thought I saw. When I see the Big Show, I saw Ron. With Ron's full beard, I was like, is that Ron?
So I look like the Big Show now.
At that point, yes.
Interesting.
At that point,
Still a perfect
So
20.
I look like a young Big Show.
Still a perfect 20.
Wow. And you jobbed out to Aaron's great uncle.
To that
His great Uncle Mark.
that young upstart Mark Henry.
There were CM Punk chants.
We got some
during
world
this
title
match.
reigns in my family.
Yeah,
Mark
CM
said for the
Punk
Shining
chants broke
Stars.
out in this match. I guess that tells you something.
we're in
about it.
Chicago, so it's
Wasn't Chicago. Oh well.
crowd could not be more biased.
Yeah, true.
After that singles match, we went into something with a little more of a prize to go for. The Raw Money in the Bank ladder match. We had Kofi Kingston, Jack Swagger, Alberto Del Rio, Evan Bourne, R-Truth, Alex Riley's good buddy The Miz,
A-Rod.
and Rey Mysterio.
Who looked almost as much alike as the Bella Twins did that night. I thought Alex Riley and The Miz looked almost identical.
Now, this is the Kofi that he went back to in the time machine.
Yeah.
On our current.
By the way, Miz was over as hell at this show, Eric. Awesome heel.
By who?
The fans. Did you hear that pop Miz got? Even when he came back to try to win the match?
I didn't. I
That
fast
pop he
forward through
got?
his entrance.
I'm talking about when he came back. He got hurt in this match and came back.
Yeah, he came running out.
He came running out and the crowd popped for him. Miz was over as
He
hell.
faked. I don't know if he was faking or he actually had like a knee or leg injury. He fell on and they had to take him out. And then he came back maybe about 10 minutes later, limping down.
So are you disappointed he didn't win?
No, because he won already. He got his shine.
Yeah, he
I
cashed
know,
it
but
in
you're a
before,
fan,
not
so
too
I
long
didn't know
ago.
if you were disappointed he didn't win twice.
No, he got his shine. You just don't think the Miz is awesome and what he does. I think he's very
you think-
effective.
you think he
He's a
shined
very
when he won
effective
it?
heel. Yes.
All right. Just
He's an
ask me.
effective heel. When he
We're
won the
gonna
title,
say-
he was horribly booked, but he shined. He shined before that.
I must say, I did see this pay-per-view when it originally came out, and then watching this again for the replay for the call. Outside of like Alex Riley or R-Truth, I wasn't sure who was going to win this.
Yeah, I was
Even though
hoping-
I've seen it.
I was
Evan
hoping
Bourne.
Truth
Yeah.
would sneak one out. No, I thought this match was where I was like, I think like 2 or 3 times, like guys just almost killed themselves. In
Yeah, this was botch city. I didn't care for this ladder match at all. It was botches everywhere.
It's not often I'm watching a match I'm like
Ooh.
cringing.
Yeah, but this was like a bad cringe. It was like, oh, that hurt.
That's
But
what I mean.
Yeah, this
Like,
was
I'm
like,
like, oh, God.
that was ugly.
I'm like, that guy's lucky he still has a career right now.
Exactly.
Even though the winner of this match is terrible on the mic,
I
Like-
thought you
like
liked
my
him.
coach.
Last week you liked him.
I still do like him if you let me finish. This is just another proof of how good he is. He didn't need good mic skills to obviously win a ladder match, and I thought he was phenomenal in this match.
Yeah, the only good thing he's ever done on the mic was Juan Cena. I love
Juan
but-
Cena?
Yeah.
John Cena.
He uses Pedro too much.
The only thing he was cool about the reels when he come out the cars.
That
Oh
was
yeah,
cool.
I love when he came
I
out.
care about
I love when he came out with those cars.
And I like how he won, how he grabbed Mysterio's mask off, and Mysterio had no choice but to let go and cut
Alright,
his face
so
up.
maybe we can explain this to me because I'm kind of confused, and this happens all the time in ladder match. You always see 2, sometimes 3 guys climbing up the ladder, going up to get the Money in the Bank, right? And they'll get to the top. For some odd reason, they'll stop at like the 3rd rung instead of going all the way up to the top of the ladder. Okay, I'm falling for it. The other guy races up and catches up to the guy before he can get up to the Money in the Bank, and then they'll punch each other. And every time they get punched, they can take 1 step down the ladder.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Don't you
It's-
fall off the ladder if you're getting punched? You don't take 1 step down.
You would think. That actually, you just made me think, this really isn't the point you were making, but that spot at the end when Mysterio got hit onto the other ladder and then it teetered and then hit, I was like, I didn't know what was going to happen. I thought he might die on that spot too.
If there
Those
was
ladders just all started crumbling on top
There's
of
one
each
where it
other.
had like almost, except for maybe 2 guys, every man in the match up on the ladders at one point. Just kind of.
Did you know who won that match?
Going into it,
Going
yeah, 'cause
into it, okay.
I watched it back then, and at the time, Del Rio, I wasn't crazy about his ring work at the time. Just I wasn't really big on any of the new guys. I was only started watching the product again.
You were
for a
very
couple
much
months.
like me. Like, oh, these guys aren't as good as the guys I
think
like,
it was
so.
literally like I was watching the Punk stuff, and I knew I was like, he's a heel, and pretty much, he's a new guy. I was interested in what was going on, but I wasn't like, I'm watching for the 10-minute segments. Somebody I knew from years ago was on there. But yeah, so I kind of, either match I wasn't really excited for because I didn't like Daniel Bryan, I didn't like Del Rio, and both of them win. I'm like, what the hell?
So you were solely in for the main event in this one.
Crazy not to like Daniel Bryan.
It was just it was a Sunday.
He
chicken
finally
dinner.
came around, though.
Who, me?
Yes, you
Yeah.
did. It took you long enough.
He finally admitted.
And how can you not get behind your uncle Alberto?
Oh, I'm behind him now. That's my boy. That's my boy.
So now, in hindsight,
And Auntie
looking
Paige.
back, like now that you have a new respect for Del Rio and a new respect for Daniel
I enjoyed
Bryan,
all these matches more, and it's kind of weird. I think, like, at the time, 5 years ago, watching this, I didn't like the results, and it may sound petty. It's like, I didn't know, like, I know now who's going to win, so I can watch the match and appreciate for anything good that does happen. But at the time I'm watching it, there's nothing that I thought was amazing or stellar about the match, and I did not like the result of either of them, so it didn't do anything for me at the time.
Speaking of underutilized guys, like we're talking about in the first Money in the Bank match, Evan Bourne was always an underutilized guy for
Well,
me.
he got himself caught up in drug stuff.
did he?
Yeah, because he was an Air Boom, and then they had to drop the titles to Eric's people in a house show.
I thought he got
Eric's people.
he was injured. He got injured.
No,
That's why that team fell apart.
No, he got suspended for drug because he offended a drug policy.
What kind of drug was it?
I don't know, probably marijuana.
Something with a little boom.
Yeah,
That's
his
respectable.
Air Boom.
Can't judge him for that.
I
No.
don't judge him. WWE does.
Well, I mean, 90% of their roster in some form or fashion uses
Well-
some drugs to survive.
My cousin Alberto wins this match. Goes on to, we see him again later. We'll talk about that. But this goes into the World Heavyweight Championship match. Now, someone that Alo loves deep in his heart, Christian, comes
Very
out
much.
and is the challenger against Randy Orton.
Had been wronged, right?
He
had
won.
been wrong.
How many
in their
more
previous
matches did he
match,
won?
Right?
Who? Christian?
Yeah.
This is the only match he won.
No, I said how many. Yeah.
Well, let's preface this.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Yeah. You're
Let's
right.
preface
I know
this
where
by
you're going
saying that this was if Randy Orton was
if
disqualified,
Randy Orton is
he loses.
disqualified,
Ah.
this is one of the very few times in history where the title could change.
I thought that was
Definitely.
I thought that was a good stipulation.
It was. I gotta say, there are many times where I take wrestling personally. The only other time I really got mad is like when the Hardys would lose the tag titles, and like what happened to Sasha at
Whose fault
WrestleMania.
was it usually?
Jeff's. And look, this like literally pissed me off because Christian was so good,
Yeah, he was really good.
so great at everything.
Awesome
On the mic,
Awesome on
in
the
the
mic.
ring, he can do everything. Full of charisma, and you have him win the title. You have that heartfelt moment at Extreme Rules, and you have then Edge retires, and you drop it to Orton 2 days later. At least let him go to the next tape. Let him go to Over the Limit the following month. Like I was like literally.
See, you were pissed even before this match.
Yes, I was pissed. Like when he lost out to Orton, I was pissed.
You were butthurt. You were butthurt a little bit.
Well, the whole build-up going into this rivalry, the 3 months or so that it was built, and I do understand that. And then they tried turning Christian heel here, and it was kind of a bittersweet thing. So I know what he's talking about. I mean, at the time I'm watching this, and Edge was a really good. No, I guess he was a babyface.
Edge was
at Mania.
babyface at this
He was a
time.
babyface
Yeah.
at
Yeah,
Mania.
babyface was-
He retired unexpectedly, and then Christian picked up where he left off with the feud with Del Rio. He wins the world title, and it was a great feel-good moment. I'm watching this, and I'm like, wow, I never would have thought this guy's world champion, but I wasn't mad about it. I was like, obviously, this is Edge's best friend.
Yeah, but
Who else, if Edge is going to retire, who should be the next world champion?
yeah,
And then I don't think I watched SmackDown. I might have caught highlights of it, but then I'm like, the next week on Raw, I'm hearing he lost his title. I'm like, what is
Yeah.
that?
yeah.
Like,
Orton.
they just did all that for nothing, and then they try to switch him to a heel, and then he goes into this match, and to get his second world, what's a cheaper way to win a world title?
But that was so gold. Like
Spitting in his mouth.
Oh, that was kind of gross.
the way Ron loves a whiny Jericho, I love a whiny Christian. Because other than
You
Jericho,
love a CLB.
he is awesome.
I thought it was a really good match.
It was a great. All these matches were awesome.
This is the definition of. I didn't think it was good when I watched it then, and then rewatching it now, I was like, wow, this feud is on the radar.
Well, that's the thing. It was a good match. I didn't like the ending though. All right,
I like
you got
the
the
post match.
you got the DQ, which I never like. Kind of giving up a title that way. I'll take it though. But then you have the world champion get squashed pretty much for
yeah,
the
but
next
it
20
was
minutes.
perfect because they all like to refer. Orton has anger problems, which was stupid or whatever. And then they went back to capital punishment where Christian's foot was under the rope. So he was like, whether bad officiating or you get disqualified, you're gonna lose the title. So Christian did everything in his way to get Orton to get disqualify himself.
Yeah, he did.
He
man.
like even the way he started the match and just threw him a chair because he won. That's what he wanted. He wanted Orton to get disqualified.
Yeah, he was pushing him that way.
Yeah,
It was
he's pushing him off the edge.
good ring work.
Yeah, it was. And like the crowd popped. Christian won by disqualification. The crowd still popped.
Yeah.
the crowd wanted it.
But then he gets squashed too. I would.
He would get squashed next month.
To Eric's point about he didn't like the match at the time, I was not watching at the time. Randy Orton is one of the poster boys for why I stopped watching. Because all these guys started getting pushed up, and I was like, nah, HBK's better than this guy. Nah, Austin's better than this guy. Nah, Triple H better than this guy. It was like every guy I liked, I could not give any of these new guys credit. I was actually becoming a 24-year-old old man.
That's kind of funny because
you were like a
I was
14-year-old.
24. I was 24 when Daniel Bryan was going over, and I didn't see him. Oh, this guy was trained by Shawn Michaels. He was trained in his camp, and I'm like, ew, he was. Damn, Shawn, you dropped the ball, and that was me.
Dropped the ball.
That was me hating, and
WrestleMania 14 all over again.
You're a hater. Couple haters.
Yeah,
it was just one. It was just me. There wasn't a couple.
There's a couple haters.
Yeah, me and you. I got to that point there where I was like, nope, wrestling's over. All the good guys are gone. It's not good anymore. And I just, slowly just stopped. Orton was one of those guys. Watching this, which is 5 years ago now, I had, watching a much younger Randy Orton, I had, a newfound respect for him, for how good he was. I loved the psychology of this match.
Yeah.
And, him just going off. He gets spit in his mouth, and then him just going nuts.
Yeah.
You know, they thought he might get qualified for just punching him and not stopping. And I think Cole or somebody made mention that the ref did him a favor by not stopping the match right there.
There's RKO's in the table, which was stiff.
That table still dropped.
That takes a lot out on Randy Orton. He was taking the brunt of that, and he kept going with it.
And the post match, like you
what
said,
did it take? 2 or 3 RKO's?
I think it was
three.
Three.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it was one of those things
He
like
still didn't jump. He still jumped.
that was, and they were all good RKO's. It wasn't like it was a sloppy one. It was just
No, the table.
it was the Cena of tables.
He never breaks that table.
Well, I thought it was good that they used the stipulation.
Yeah.
If you're going to throw a stipulation in a match, I think it's good to
That is a good point, because how often do they put a stipulation like that out?
I can't remember the last time they ever went through, except that one time.
I can't either. And I also, there was a lot of
like they
great
just
false...
did that with Charlotte, but it didn't matter.
Just not the spit, because that was gross.
Yeah.
See a loogie hanging off his mouth, and
No, because
that's
that's
like.
but the idea, because Christian knew that is the most disrespectful thing you could ever do to a person.
Yeah.
And you know he will snap off of that.
I mean, imagine me in the back, like I'm Christian talking to Orton, like I'm gonna loogie in your mouth. What do you think about that?
And then Christian still acting.
First, so now I have 2 points to make now based on just even the idea of this. One, you got to give Randy, if in fact they decided I'm going to spit in your mouth.
I doubt they aimed it, but that's
That's
kinda,
what I mean, though.
Kind of what played on my mind.
I give Orton a lot of credit for being like, you know what? Yeah, it's a good spot. Spit in my mouth. And then 2, you really got to tip your cap to Christian for being able to spit in his mouth like
Take
that.
some charisma.
It's like the program. Spit in your mouth pregame. That's what we do. You spit in my mouth now. No?
All right.
Am I the only one?
All right.
Remind me not to come next time Joey's here.
I think it's time to move on to the next match after that. I don't think
Everyone
there's
comes
anywhere
when
to
Joey's
go
here.
from that.
Oh my gosh.
How don't you like your own partner, Eric?
You got it all wrong. Pash is clearly my partner.
Pash is the reason I haven't been here. Pash is trying to move me off the show.
Well, it's funny. I've been trying to move Alo off the show.
Oh,
but wait.
well,
let's get into the main event.
A couple weeks ago,
Let's get into the
it was
main
me
event.
and you versus the Corporate Stooges.
Oh, let's do a Fatal 4-Way next time,
Corporate
guys.
Stooges.
Fatal
Corporate
4-Way.
Stooges. Yeah, you guys. We're the B team, remember?
B plus.
Oh, sorry. Thank
Solid
you.
B plus.
I like that extra plus.
So the main event.
All right, so the main event in Chicago, Illinois, for the WWE Championship. You have the defending John Cena versus the #1 contender, CM Punk, in his hometown.
Last night under contract.
CM Punk's contract expires at midnight this night, and if for some reason he was to win and leave with the title, John Cena would be fired the next night on Raw.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
This, my humble opinion, I will restate the same thing I said earlier on in the show. I was a little flustered
Well,
because of lack of.
I don't think
Fierce.
any opinion you
However-
have. I don't think any opinion you have humble. But just continue.
Pretty accurate. That was a good point. We're back on team. All right. So, this is one of the few times where I will give, Lawler did a great job from the entrance music to the end of the music, or end of the music, end of the match, end of everything. Commentary was good. Cole did decent. This is probably one of his best ones he ever did. I always think he sucks at everything he ever calls. This was the last time we had Punk's original theme music, correct, Ayla?
Yeah,
Yep.
that was surprising to me.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was
so this-
expecting to hear Cold Personality. but
It's one of those moments, and it was the debut of the Best in the World T-shirt, correct?
Yeah, and if we were watching hard, this is my first time actually watching this whole match. I've seen not the entrances, but I've seen the rest of the match. And if we were us now, we'd be like, oh, he has a new shirt. He ain't going nowhere.
Pretty funny. Pretty true. So I guess I'll just give my full opinion on the match. I thought commentary work was good. The promo going into the match, opening promo. I mean, they don't do good promos like that no more. I mean, I always
The
thought they
video
were.
packages?
Yeah.
They always do a great job with those video packages.
All right, like I said, they don't really do a good job with the video packages like they used to. I thought that one was pretty good, and I think back in your day of 2000, 01, 02, I thought they did really good job with those packages back then. Quality, I guess, because I've been watching some of those older shows, weren't as good as now, but neither here nor there. Match, 10 out of 10s, in my opinion. The ring work, this is some of Cena's best work, in my opinion. The way they feed off the crowd probably one of Cena's most hostile crowds, probably top 2 that he's ever had to perform in. The perfect ending. You know, you get Vince going out, he tries to do a screw job, Cena stops him from it, and then when Punk's trying to leave, Vince calls out Del Rio. Everything in this match, top to bottom, I think it was perfect. Your thoughts?
It was a great match. Like you said, it was great in-ring work. I like how they tried to, make sure Punk didn't walk away with the title. They prefaced it, like you said, on the announce table, that Vince McMahon will do anything to keep this title. That's part of the reason why the screw job
his
was.
whole legacy
He will
is on
not
the line here.
let the title leave. And it was, a great match. Exchanges left and right. How poetic, even, 15 years later, their fans are still chanting, Cena, you can't wrestle.
Yeah.
CM Punk turns like, me?
Yeah.
They're like, no. And they cheered, so they were telling Cena he can't wrestle, and that's still a promo we're getting the other day from AJ Styles.
Yeah.
But back to this match, it was a great match, start to finish.
Ayla.
Well, I don't say this often,
Uh-huh.
but this match and the way it was portrayed was perfect. Like Punk's entrance, however long it took, it was perfect. The way he just sat in the ring and basked, and everybody called, chanted his name. And the final time we heard that theme music, and then even the way Cena came down to the ring, because he's basically fired if he loses this match. So everything's on the line for him. He didn't salute. He just walked straight down to the ring like it was nothing. And commentary, they portrayed this as like a real big fight. I don't remember who said exactly, but they was like, this is like the Super Bowl. And Punk is the Chicago Bears in the Super Bowl's in Chicago.
Jerry Lawler said that.
Yeah, King said that.
He said the only bigger match feel you could get is if the Super Bowl was in Chicago and the Chicago Bears were in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and like Joe said, this match, well, this is where the Punk was actually, I think he was the first one to ever talk about Cena can't wrestle. So we're getting a similar thing with AJ Styles now, but the way this match started, Cena was way more technical. Like, this match got a lot of time, and it built up to what it was. And another thing is, it was an uphill fight for Punk this entire match. Cena was in control for a lot of this match. I believe he did with 2 AAs, and Punk still kicked out. And it took him, and the way it ended, Punk finally was able to hit a GTS on him. Even when he went for GTS the first time, he countered that GTS into a STF. And and with Vince coming down, the continuity was so perfect because he tried to screw him right away because they kept putting over that he had to protect the title. So
Vince and Laurinaitis came out together. Right?
Yeah. So they tried. So Cena had
it right down.
Yeah, he came right down. Cena was like, no. Then he hits a GTS, and then Vince does everything he does, like, get Del Rio down here, and Punk just kicks him in the face, and then just leaves, which is perfect because he knows.
And he leaves through the crowd.
Yeah, because he knows that he just leaves because the match never started. So he said he didn't defend the title. So
bell never rang.
Yeah, the bell never rang, exactly. So there's not many times I'll say this, but this match was perfect.
Crawling through the crowd with the title, everyone's just going crazy for the title exchange, and he's just looking down at Vince like, yeah, I'm leaving.
Hash, before it goes to you, there's been, way before we started doing this, if you ever see people, any videos on the internet, and there's one I would always see, if what match would you show someone that's not into wrestling or never was into wrestling or used to be into wrestling, and if you were trying to get someone,
Mark Henry versus Big Show,
if you were trying to get someone into it,
obviously,
I can't
Kelly versus Brie Bella.
I can't think of in the last 10 years a better match. It's funny, like I've seen people say, like, if you want to get someone kind of interested right away, it's good to play Mankind versus The Undertaker in Hell in a Cell. But that's not ever going to happen again.
Right.
That's a popular, just bump kind of...
Exactly. Or you could put WrestleMania 17, the TLC match. But those kind of bump matches, this is a...
Yeah, that's not
this
wrestling.
Is a regular singles one-on-one match. I can't... And I'll loosely even say, I said the last 5 years, now I'm saying the last 10 years. I can't think of a one-on-one match of the last 15 years that was better than that.
It was great. Like you said, it wasn't even just the match. It was the story. It was the way it opened. It was the way it closed. The crowd added a lot to it.
A lot on the line.
Yeah, that's a fact.
So, because that's the thing. A lot of times there's not like a human investment. It's just like we watch the show every week and we're following the story. This was like, they played it like a shoot. Like, CM Punk is going to be gone after tonight. John Cena could be fired tomorrow. We're in Punk's hometown. He's here, like, like your point about an uphill battle that he kicked out of 2 AAs.
Yeah, he wasn't.
It's
He was
like,
out of, he
I'm
wasn't in
in
control most of this match. It was all Cena for most of the
Yeah,
part.
but it's like I'm in front of my hometown. I'm going to do everything I can to win this match. You're not going to keep me down. And that story played out through the whole match. The thing with Vince, great, obviously, because there's a big story that his contract is up. Vince doesn't want the title to leave. I love, though, that before he left through the crowd,
Could potentially be another screw job.
yeah, he sealed the whole thing with the blown kiss to Vince McMahon, one of my favorite kind of like ad-lib moments. I thought, yeah, this match was incredible. Great main event. And like you said, that's a great point you made, that people do go to that, when Foley gets thrown off the cage or off the cell. People say, oh, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, I wouldn't show.
But that...
I wouldn't go
hear
to that.
a lot.
I wouldn't
but
go
wouldn't
that's
show
my
people
go-to.
that.
I typically, if you see like YouTube videos, it's like, what are a good match to show someone? It's typically that. If you're going to show someone a one-on-one match to get hooked into it, it's going to be a Shawn versus Brett match or a Rock versus Austin match, in my opinion.
Well, I would say Taker Shawn from 25.
I would even, again, here nor there. There are
there's other matches,
there are other good matches.
Yeah,
This is, in my opinion.
This is one of them, yeah.
Yeah, it's up there.
Yeah,
It's not arguable.
Yeah, and for women, I would show them Sasha Bailey from Brooklyn.
yeah, I would too.
But and another good thing, when you think of like those, borderline, in the last 5 years, when wrestling was red hot in the late 90s, it was always like, is this real? Like, there's something about the storyline that makes you think this is real.
This was real.
But this is one of those things where if they do something like that, typically right now, you're like, oh, that's too real. It's not going to happen. Like, if it's going to jeopardize the company, it's not going to happen. So you're telling me if Punk wins, he's going to take the WWE Championship. And he said, you know what? I might go wrestle in Ring of Honor. Like, I'm going to take this. I'm going to go defend it anywhere else. Yeah, and I'm going to go, like, he won. Everything he just said, could that happen? And it was surreal.
Yeah, it was like a legitimate cliffhanger when that pay-per-view went off the air. Because
you weren't sure of the state of affairs.
I just wish he didn't come back so soon.
And they played it out in the storylines too, because he didn't come back for a little bit. They had a tournament, an open tournament for the
Raws.
It was only
8 days.
It was 2 weeks, yeah.
So, I guess overall, this is where we get into our rating system.
Yeah, Alo, you want to
save
explain
mine for last?
Our rating system for anyone who may not have seen the last Throwback match?
Yeah, our rating system goes from if it's a showstopper, that means an awesome show. A slobber knocker is somewhere in the middle, and then if it's terrible, it's a jobber.
All right.
What would you rate it?
Well, with these shows, I usually technically rate them on what would I watch again on my spare time. So there's only probably 2 of these matches that I really enjoyed. I enjoyed the SmackDown Money in the Bank, but I think it was too long. So but thing is, Punk Cena, the story was so excellent.
Yeah, that was excellent.
It kind of makes me lift my rating up a little bit. But I'm gonna give it I used to give it a plain slobber knocker because, like I said, the other matches I wouldn't really go back and watch.
Joe,
I'm gonna go slobber stopper.
Slobber stopper. Okay.
Slobber stopper,
It's
mainly
right in the
on the strength of the main event, and I was always a fan of Orton. You weren't big on him, but like you go back and you enjoy his work now.
Yeah.
Money in the Bank match, SmackDown. Too long's never an issue for me. And I thought it was a solid match, but like I said, that was a great main event, so you have to give it at least a 7, which is slobber stopper.
Pash, what are you going with?
I think I'll agree with the slobber stopper. It was not a pretty good show. I thought it was a very good show. Especially, no, I'm judging it obviously from a very different perspective in that I don't know much of the story. The Punk story I knew.
It's like the first time for you.
Yeah, I was watching. I went in completely blind, and the matches entertained me. There were times when I was actually rooting for guys. I was happy when Daniel Bryan won. Mm-hmm. The Punk Cena match was incredible. So yeah, I go. It's a high slobber knocker for me. So the slobber stopper I'll go with.
I guess to recap again, I'll say I'm gonna give it a showstopper. Overall, I'm gonna give the show a showstopper. I can't say best show of all time. I do think the good thing about this show, and I guess it's kind of very old school-esque, I think anytime if we watch, let's think of every show this year, aside from maybe the Royal Rumble, every show this year, I think it's safe to say, a match aside from the main event had our interest a little more.
Very good, very accurate point.
Yeah.
And maybe I would say for the last year and a half, maybe the last 2.5 years. My thing about this, it was one of those good things where there's a lot of shows in the past where the show was stolen early. You get to the main event, the crowd's dead. The show was a warm-up the whole way through to the main event. The main event was actually a main event. You were into it. It had your attention. It stole the show. So I'm going to give it a showstopper.
Fair point.
No arguments for me. That's
Fair
a very
point.
good way to break it down. So, Eric Trimbicki, your first time picking Throwback Madness, Money in the Bank 2011. Very good choice. I enjoyed it very much. Next month, it is C. Kane Joe Rottermill making his choice. Joe, are you ready to unveil?
I'm ready to unveil.
What show
I'm ready to unveil. Do we have like a Vanna White?
He's gonna do it now.
He's going to do it right
I'm gonna do it now. I'm just gonna drop it. I'm gonna drop
He's
it.
going to do it live.
I was telling Ron earlier, I was debating on which years I wanted to go, but I did narrow it down to a name and a month. Obviously, it's July, so I'm going.
I'm glad you narrowed it down to a month. Very good.
That was the easy part. Much like my friend's, favorite state of working, I'm gonna go fully loaded. You're fully loaded. You like to be fully loaded. I'm gonna go 98.
98, fully loaded 98.
Back in my vintage.
So what was the main event of that pay-per-view?
The main event of that pay-per-view, it's arguable. They had a tag match with Stone Cold
Taker
and Taker.
Yeah, Taker and Stone Cold
versus
Kane and Mankind for the tag
Kane and
titles.
Mankind. They had a 2 out of 3 falls match.
Oh yeah, Triple H. Oh
Wait,
Triple H.
Triple H and
Nate
Brown.
Halo's night.
They had
That was awesome.
there you
That
go.
was for the IC. I know how that
Yeah.
is. All right.
They had
This is good. I just watched that.
No point.
Edge versus
You're
Jeff
giving
Jarrett.
the show away.
I'm just giving you the matches. I'm not giving
We
the show.
don't need no more. You did great.
All
Good
right,
choice.
Joe, Eric, great job on your choice.
That was better
Joe,
than Alo's choice.
Joe,
All right.
I look.
We'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, Joe, I look forward to watching your choice. He made Aaron's night already.
He did.
So for Alo, for C. Kane Joe, for Ek2 Fly, I'm Ron Pashery, and we will see you next month for Fully Loaded 98.
Boom.